we asked for business advice, you said, I don't like to screw people over. Why do you say that?
I've been on the receiving end of that. I know how it feels. And I would never do that to anyone. It's just, that's not how you do business.
Hello, and welcome to the Flat Bill Investors Podcast. I'm Josh Zaglowski with...
And I'm Zach Spencer. Welcome. All right, today we are privileged to have two guests on our show. Our first guest is going to be a guy who's been retired twice, which not all of us can say. Should we go ahead and switch hats?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying? Okay, let's switch it and see if you already know who it is. We're going to swap the Flat Bill to this generation. The millennials don't know what this, or is it Gen Z that won't know what this is? They won't know what this is.
We'll tell them by the end.
All right, we'll tell them by the end what this even means. So our first guest was born in Santiago, Chile, and came to the States when he was 21 years old. Amazing. Came back to go to school. Has had 3 successful exits from businesses, and now has come out of retirement to lay some knowledge on us and to help out. We have got Hondo Vargas with us to here today. Our second guest is Chris Patch. You guys all know Patch if you do anything on social media.
If you're in Utah on the Wasatch Front,
you've probably seen or heard about him. Lucky you. Chris Patch, obviously great networker, and that's what we're going to kind of focus on today is his ability to network, create value through those networks and through relationships. Am I safe to say you're about to have a baby?
About to have a baby.
Like any day, right?
2 months.
Oh, you still got a minute.
I got,
okay.
Yeah, 2 months.
Okay, good. So I wasn't sure. I knew it was coming up pretty close.
Yeah.
And anyway, everybody who knows Patch loves him. So we're just going to jump right into this. We're happy to have you guys and welcome to the Flat Bill Investor Podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one thing that we want to go over each and every episode is kind of adding value to you guys, the audience, on what you can learn from this episode. And the one thing that these two definitely have in common is networking and kind of understanding that it's actually an expertise. It's something that can be learned, and I think it's something that the audience can get some nuggets today.
Oh, for sure.
From these two, for
100%.
sure. We'll talk to Hondo first on, when you and I were talking right before on, you came here from Santiago, Chile, 21 years old, or 21 years ago.
Well, I was 21.
So you're 42.
Basically,
So maybe
21.
So maybe 21 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm like 30 something.
Yeah. So, because you didn't answer the question, I think it's good for the audience to hear. Like, what was kind of the reason for the move? Is the parents? Were you happy about it? Were you what you liked where you were living already? What's kind of the story there?
I did medical school for a year in Venezuela at the time, and I realized it wasn't my thing. My dad was a doctor, and I'm like, I'm not going to be a doctor after a year, wasted my time. So I figured I wanted to do business school because why not? So I told my dad, and he's like, well, if you go over there, in fact, my mom said, if you go to the States, you're going to be the tail of the rat. And if you stay here, you're going to be the head of the lion. And I'm like, oh, wow. How about I go to the States and I'm the head of the lion over there? So it was almost like a challenge for me to come here and like, I'm going to prove myself over there. So I came here and, got my MBA. And I've been here ever since. The immigration, the Negro never caught me.
So Hondo, did you come here by yourself? Because you're a twin.
I'm a twin brother. He came with me. He and I do everything together, like literally. It's kind of crazy. So
you even look alike, which is nuts.
Identical, dude. Yeah. So we came together. We did school together. I took a few tests for him. He did the same thing. So
nice.
Literally,
you really did.
So you got awesome. You have like half an MBA.
Yeah, I have the better half of the MBA. I'm really good with English literature. He's really good at math, and kid you not, dude. A couple of times he helped me out, and I did the same.
Oh, so you took the driving test. You got the driver's licenses for you, and he did the
well,
book
we did
work.
a few things. I went out with his girlfriend a couple of times. That happened.
We do not condone this at home.
Yes, seriously.
Don't try this at home unless you have an identical twin. You shouldn't do it.
Okay,
you go.
He condones that.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So then you got your MBA. You got into business. I mean, we've known each other for a couple of years because you were part of the company Squeeze.
Yeah, and we did business with you guys.
Yeah, we did business with us,
right?
with my company at the time. So that's how we got to know each other. And then we kind of circled back with, I'll just go ahead and say it's Club Paddock.
Yeah, Club
we'll go
Paddock.
over that in the next 5-10
Yeah,
minutes.
a lot of people, as we've talked about Club Paddock, they go, what's a paddock? And so we can maybe even get into that because they go, like on a bike race. I'm like, well, yes, a bike race, F1 race, the paddock. So that's cool. But great name and great space.
Chris Patch, our other guest here, and these guys are recently partners, but I've known Chris. He has had a company called Sweet Experiences here in the Wasatch Front that now he's transitioning into Club Paddock. And the one thing I've always liked about Sweet Experiences, I was a member, and what that means is I was a business owner, and so I like to meet with other business owners and other salespeople and kind of talk shop. I always say the word comparing notes. I've seen what they're doing, what I'm doing. And one of the best things I've always loved about Chris is, and we had a guest a couple weeks ago on that has that go-giver mentality.
Yeah.
It's very important if you're an entrepreneur, but just a regular person too, you know? And Chris has that where he was always pulling me aside. Hey, I want you to meet this guy. I want you to meet this person.
And you've heard that, the term like flexing that giving muscle. So
Yeah.
it is a muscle. You got to kind of work on it and get used to giving. And then I think, there's those of you out there that are doing it a lot that it just comes naturally, it seems like. So
I have no other muscles except the giving muscle.
What got you into even starting that? Starting that business years ago?
So it's my third kind of B2B networking group I've ran. And it started, I went to all the other networking groups and just wasn't a big fan. And so mine was, I don't want to sit around a table, pass business cards. I want to like actually build a relationship with people. I think you do business with those you like and trust.
Yeah.
And so I rather do that naturally. And
you didn't want to report on your 1v1s.
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. But like if you're hanging out and you're traveling, you're hanging out.
Yeah.
You just build those relationships.
I mean, that's
a lot quicker.
That's one thing.
Then
Yeah.
here's a business card.
Well, the one thing that he does is not just, so we would meet like sometimes Top Golf or like he'd put couples together on a Saturday. I remember this one time we went to this place called The Chocolate or something in Provo.
Oh, yeah.
That was really, really fun.
Yeah,
Wasn't that the one from the
chocolate
show?
tasting?
Wasn't that from
Is it a show?
Wasn't there a show?
I don't know.
I don't know if there's a
anyway.
show from it.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
But it was amazing.
Yeah.
But the other thing he does is probably once a year is he does a big trip too. Is he invites people that are part of the group. Hey, do you want to pay a little extra and go to like not all expenses paid, but you pay one fee and I'll take care of all the stuff in the background. I think he's going to Africa in a couple weeks from it. Right?
5 weeks.
Yeah, 5 weeks. So
Very nervous.
And I have a couple friends and their spouses going as well, and we couldn't make it, but I mean something like that would be just awesome too because I like to kind of not only have a good time but also mix and mingle.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, don't you feel like for me, something I always gauge kind of my relationships on? I know it's kind of maybe a silly thing is if you know what the other person likes to eat. I feel like when you've got an acquaintance and you really know them, you know the stuff they like and don't like, and those are the types of people you're going to want to be around, spend time with, do business with, and things like that. And so, yeah, going on those trips is an amazing way to do that, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you're there for a week together, having experiences, eating dinner, breakfast every day together. And it's a whole different relationship building experience.
And talking about relationships and the trust that you talked about, that's how we connected because I was a member of your group for about a year. And he would hit me up, hey, come to this, and it's tough to find the time. And I'm like, I feel like I almost felt obligated to go. So I'm like, all right, dude, I said no 10 times. I got to show up.
Yeah.
So I go to one event. I really had a great time.
Yeah.
And then I went to a couple more. And I was so impressed by just how natural the event happened. Because you go to these networking events and it feels like you're being sold the entire time.
For sure.
And so I'm like always allergic to that. I'm like, I'm not going to go sell and I don't want to be sold. So I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah.
But your events are more social. And when we started talking about this relationship, I'm like, I want to have that flavor at Paddock.
Yeah.
And he can bring that. I mean, I can probably fake it, but I want the real thing.
Yeah.
And when we started talking, I was like, bro, come do this with me. And it was just,
Well,
how do we?
Part of networking and get to know other people, and I've known you for a couple of years, is you got to be genuine as well. Like we talked about this in an episode a couple of weeks ago as not being transactional.
Right.
Meaning like if you do me a favor, you're not expecting anything back.
Right.
By the law of energy, probably something's going to happen.
Yeah.
In that regard.
Karma will come to you.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I believe in that. And
Yeah,
I think
me too.
we have that in common is that when you give, you shouldn't give with the expectation to receive. But if you give, you will receive.
Yeah,
like the
absolutely.
kid, it just happens. And whether you give positive or negative, that's coming back to you in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. What do they say about karma being the fruit of the tree from the seed that you planted? So I mean, you got to start with planting that seed, and then eventually it'll bear fruit, whether it's good or bad. Yeah, that's up to the seed you
That's
plant.
on you.
Right.
Yeah, that's on you.
Yeah.
Well, coming back to you, Hondo, a little bit, is you talked about you're big into cycling.
Yeah.
So outside of business, I mean, like I would like to get to know, or the audience would like to know, like, what do you guys like to do outside of?
So that's a passion of mine. It's more like an addiction. If I wasn't a cyclist, I'd probably be an alcoholic or something. But dude, cycling is my I do, I don't know, 30 hours a week on the bike.
Wow.
As much as I can. And
So when you said you're good at cycling, you weren't joking. You
well,
actually probably are
I
pretty
think
good.
for my
Fetching
age, I'm
crazy.
pretty decent. I race guys that are half my age, and I like to say that I break them in half. I don't break them in half, but I make them suffer a little bit. I've been to Europe twice. I qualified to race in Europe at the UCI World Championships at the amateur race, but it is the highest level of racing there is in
What
in
got you
amateur
into
racing.
it?
Cycling?
Yeah.
My brother. You know.
How long ago?
That's weird.
06.
That's interesting because I just watched the 30 for 30 with Lance Armstrong.
Yeah,
It's
so
about a
did we.
5-part episode.
Yeah.
And that's about the time that it got really popular.
Yeah.
I mean, he turned that sport around.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and that
He was
and-
unbelievable, though.
Yeah, and so many. I mean, so many of those episodes, you go like, I didn't realize that he started from such a young age,
Oh, yeah.
being like a prodigy on the bike.
And then he was a
figured
triathlon.
I just figured he started as like, you know,
Yeah, he
as
was
an
a-
adult,
he was
got
a
into it,
triathlete
good.
He was a
first, and
triathlete
then he
after
was-
that.
Yes.
yeah,
Which he was
second.
one of the top in the world for
Yeah.
his age.
Yeah.
You know, which he was
Some of
actually
those
competing
pictures-
against even. Yeah.
Yeah, some of those pictures, he's like a little kid. Yeah, it's crazy.
He was really one of the first, other than Eddie Merrick, one of the first Americans that, Greg LeMond, I mean, that got into cycling from the U.S. that had a name, that made
yeah.
a name for himself. It's a European sport, but it's picked up a lot of speed here in the U.S. lately.
Yeah,
It's it's super fun thing to do.
Cool.
The other thing you told me prior to is you don't like to, in business, as far as when we ask for business advice, you said, I don't like to screw people over. Why do you say that?
You know, I've been on the receiving end of that. I know how it feels. And I would never do that to anyone. It's just, that's not how you do business. I remember, without naming names, I ran a company for a long time. I grew that thing. I was their CEO for almost a decade, and 20x their size, got him to an exit, and then got the boot 3 months, the exit. And it was
Wow.
strictly just so that they wouldn't have to pay equity. And it became a loss. It became a big old legal battle. And I'm like, dude, this shouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
Like, there is enough for everyone to be happy here. We can all win. Why do we need to play this game? It was
I learned
ridiculous.
in I would say I didn't learn early, probably in my late 20s, maybe mid 20s, on that mentality. I would rather make nothing than make an extra dollar and screw people.
Yeah.
You know, I think with that, there was times that we were poor. Me and my wife, like we were very, very poor because I just didn't have that. I didn't want to have that mentality. Could have. Anyone could, right? So I think it's kind of interesting you said that as far as like business advice.
Yeah.
You know?
I exited Squeeze like early this year. You can call my old partner Carson. We're still homies. And exits are like a divorce. They're like when you're, it's tough.
Yeah.
But when you can finish an exit and everybody shakes hands and we can still go to lunch together and be homies.
Well, your exit was even different. It's like, it's one thing to say, hey, we sold the company.
Yeah.
You were bought out.
I exited.
Yeah, you exited.
I
That's what I'm
needed
saying.
to
Even
exit.
yours was
Yeah,
different.
I was gonna say,
Yours was
there's
different,
We
which
were in
ends up being
opposite
like a
ends.
divorce.
He's like, I want to stay. I'm like, I want out. And it was, how do they negotiate that
That's
so
hard.
that you win and I win and
What
nobody
would
gets.
you? I mean, I'm sure that people listening, like as I'm sitting here, I
Right.
didn't know that about your exit at Squeeze.
Right.
So for me, I go, okay, what's maybe one piece of advice that, I mean, was there something you did on the front end? Was it just,
Well, we had different
how
goals
did
and
you get-
objectives.
how did you make that happen? 'Cause that's a
I'm
rarity.
10 years older, so I'm like in a different space. I got other goals and other things I want to do with my time. And he had other goals and motivations he wanted to do with his time. And I appreciated where he wanted to be. So I always try to understand his position, where he wanted to be. And he and I agreed, whoever we bring on board, it's not about the valuation, it's not about the money, because the valuation is a mathematical equation.
Yeah.
It's got to be someone that you can work with. And going into with that mindset, I think it put him in a position of like, well, and it's got to be someone who's going to pay you and give you the valuation that you need. So we were both kind of looking after each other almost. And it worked out. And it was a win-win for the two of us. He's happy where he's at. I'm happy where I'm at. And there was a little bit of tension throughout, but at the end of the day, it worked out. And honestly, we DM and talk and chat all the time, and the nonsense continues. We're buddies.
I love that. Well, and I keep thinking of the quote we used to have on an office wall that said "win-win or no deal."
Right.
And I think all three of you have kind of mentioned that today. That it's like it's got to be a win-win, or else it's just not worth doing.
Yeah.
Right.
And I love that. So that's great advice.
Yeah.
So now switching gears to talking about added value, and it kind of comes to Patch, Chris Patch. We all call him Patch.
Sir Patch.
Sir Patch is having sweet experiences, and during that experience, of the biggest thing for you was listening to people and listening to what was important to them. So why do you say that?
I think for what I was doing was more relationship sales. And, I can sell you a pen, I can sell you something else. But when I'm selling something that's $30,000, $50,000, $80,000, it's a lot different than just a quick sale. And so people have to trust me if they're going to give me 80 grand to provide experiences, for them every year. And so I think something that I would do is, as I was getting to know them and chatting with them, was find out what their interests are, what they like to eat, all these different things, and then find a gift that I could provide to them that ties that together.
That's cool.
It doesn't have to be expensive. It can be a $10 thing. At the end of the day, if you can build and deepen the relationship, I think them knowing that you listened enough to provide like something that means a lot to them, I think your relationship can grow fast and deep just by something that quick.
Yeah. One thing I noticed is for me, there was probably about 4 or 5 months I couldn't make it. Right. And it's funny because sometimes just going once or twice over a quarter period, sometimes a half a year period was worth it to me. Because someone mentioned, so I'm using someone else's quote, like you're one relationship away from, something great.
Right.
Yeah. One relationship away.
Yeah.
So in your case, because I've heard more positive testimonials than anything negative, but like, how does that kind of make you feel or sleep at night, knowing that you've kind of built these other people's relationships as well without having that transactional mentality? Because I've never had that feeling from you of you're connecting people and they're going out and developing a relationship, and that's part of the group. So how do you kind of take that?
I mean, I love it, to be honest. Like at the end of the day, I feel like I'm a connector. That's my passion is.
Your superpower?
Yeah. My superpower
totally
is
agree.
I can see things and I want to put people together that can do great things. Right. And so at the end of the day, I think, even some of my other members, they tell me like 4 of my best friends that I have right now and will for the rest of my life are from the group.
That's cool.
And I think that's powerful. Nothing to do with business, but all to do with relationships.
Yeah, but through the business and the opportunities you're providing, then you are able to kind of see, okay, these are the people we have some stuff in common.
Yeah. And sometimes it is business, right? And other times it's personal.
Yeah.
Oh man, you've gone through this hardship. You should chat with so-and-so. Like they can relate to you and can be a sounding block.
Love it.
So yeah.
Before we kind of talk about Club Paddock, what would you say, what would be the best advice for someone to kind of develop that giving muscle, networking muscle?
Go do it, right? Just go meet with 5 people this week and break bread. Go to lunch. Listen to them. Listen to their story. Ask questions, not about business.
I'm actually
Ask
going to
about
add
their family.
I'm going to add to your answer because I have something.
Yeah.
I'm actually quite awkward. I'm dead serious. So when I don't know anyone, I've asked you before, come with me to be my wingman.
Yeah.
That always helps to be in a networking thing, but sometimes I'm there without. And what I've kind of noticed is when I'm around someone and you can kind of see someone like me, like out there, they're just as awkward as the person sitting there like, they come over, I'll talk. You just start a conversation. People actually are pretty receptive, especially in that atmosphere.
You go to those like networking events and like half the time you're sitting, okay,
You're on your phone.
15-minute break.
You're-
Let's get up and shake hands. 90 or maybe 80% of the people in there like don't want to do it. It's not something that comes naturally to a lot of people. So to those that can do it or are like, okay, let me get out and like help connect these people. I think there's a certain level of authenticity that if that happens, then you can really connect. And I think that's another takeaway is when you can say, I have gone through a hardship or I did have this thing happen versus just like all rainbows and butterflies. And
so now I want to kind of intro Club Paddock a little bit.
Yeah.
So clubpaddock.com. If you're in Utah, you might be familiar with it. You might not be familiar with it. I happen to be a member, so I know quite a bit about it. Obviously, these guys are now partners in it. Basically, it's like a business networking, but what they do is they have one side that has kind of like a kitchen area, and the other side has all these luxury cars, you could say, and classic cars.
Yeah,
there's an old 67
Challenger?
Camaro.
Oh,
Camaro. I have a 68 Camaro, and I was like, dude, I didn't need a paint job like that.
Yeah.
And the whole point of it is, and they're just kind of building it up. And you guys can even talk about your goals, because obviously we have viewers and listeners all across the country. Maybe what you talk about, what your 3 to 5 year possible expansion is. But yeah, kind of tell everyone why you guys started it and why you guys became partners. And one more thing before that is, if you're in Utah and you don't know about it, please look it up. And there's private events, but there's also public events, so you can kind of experience a little bit, and then you guys can reach out to these guys after. So yeah, tell us about why you started it, to why you're partners, to the possible expansion.
Yeah. Maybe let me jump in real quick with one kind of follow-up question to just add that. Like when you started, a lot of people, when you're starting a business, they say start with the end in mind.
Sure.
Like to you, when you're thinking about what the end or what Club Paddock looks like. Maybe elaborate on that a little bit as you go forward. Yeah.
And that's how I've done every business, is with an end in mind. It's an interesting point. But Paddock has been open for 2.5 months officially, but it began 2 years ago. So Angelo, my son Angelo, is the real car guy in the family. He's a car fanatic. He's a driver. He races go-karts.
And so new. It
he's
seemed like
he's brand new.
Staple.
So 2 years ago, he and I decided to do this business, which was, a car club for car enthusiasts, which would have a component of car storage and some car services, and a club component where you can enjoy the social aspect of interacting with people, networking, meeting new people, and everyone with the same kind of mindset, likes and hobbies and so on, and center around, cars, exotics, and things like that. And, we spent the last couple of years just finding the building, remodeling the building, getting investors,
It's really
putting
nice
it all
inside.
together.
It even has a golf simulator.
Golf sim.
It's got the
driving
racing sims.
Yeah,
that
it's
are
got
like
the full motion.
So nice.
Those aren't cheap.
No, they're awesome too.
They're more expensive than most cars out there.
Yeah.
It's pretty insane.
True.
In fact, when I first
You have
started
two of
looking at them, I was going to buy, the basic $10,000 one. And my son is like, no, we're not. I'm like, we're buying that one.
Go
And I'm
all
like,
in
that's
or out.
insane, bro. But we weren't allowed. It worked out.
Yeah.
So,
No, I almost broke my wrists on the one.
it's a really
reactive.
real driving experience.
I love it.
So it's a membership based type business. So guys that want to come and hang out, use the space, attend the events, pay a membership to attend the club.
Invest in a membership.
Yeah, there you
So
go.
you're
And
investing.
then,
I live an hour and 15 minutes away, and I'm a member.
I tell people that all the time. They're like, I live
guys,
30 minutes away. I'm like, guys,
You
we
can
have
come
people
down
that
once.
live
And I'm
over
telling
an
you,
hour.
once a quarter is totally worth it for me.
Yeah.
But I go more than that. But
I got guys in Salt Lake that will say, I don't have a reason to go to Utah County. I'm like, now you do.
You do now?
You do now, bro. It's like, you've been here. You want to be a part of this. And then why or how we became partners? Well, of course, I knew Patch, and I knew events would be a part of what we're doing at Paddock, and I wanted the events to be like next level. Wanted the events to be like the kind of thing that people want to go to. So we have private concerts coming up, comedy night coming up, charity events. We've done some cool stuff. We did an art gallery night just this last weekend, and they're all 100+ people showing up, and everyone is like, whoa, dude, this is so amazing, so cool. And it's just the vibe.
it's very low key too.
space.
Yeah.
It's very low key. So tell us what your expansion maybe idea is.
So, initially it was a hobby business. I just wanted to do a business with my son. Now that I'm like fully retired, I'm like, I'm going to do a business with my son Angelo, and I cannot teach him what I know about business. And it'd be cool to do that with him and do it in an environment of an industry that he likes. So we picked cars, obviously.
Fully retired, working 80 hours a
Right.
week.
And now, bro, I'm doing 10-hour
30
days
of
or
those are
12-hour
cycling.
days. I mean, thanks to Patch, I'm maybe not doing that many now. Holy cow, dude. It's full-time gig right now for sure. And my son is doing great and learning the ropes and stuff. And 3-5 years,
That's fun
we're
to work
already
with
talking
your
about
son,
two additional paddocks are in their works right now. We're even talking about, I can't talk about that.
Yeah, that's why I wanted
But we
you to
got
just the idea, because if someone is, maybe in their market in the next 3 to 5 years, definitely reach out and just kind of talk to them about your options to possibly do something in your market. If you're in Phoenix or Miami or whatever it is. I mean, it's something that I know there's some other people that do it, but it could be a possibility. I mean, they'll kind of go over what their expansion is over time, but I think it's a cool concept.
Thanks.
Well, hey, let me ask one question. This is one thing that I love to ask with everybody that we interview, we get to talk to, is if you can just really briefly tell me a book that was transformational to you, that you love, you reread, or a quote, something that has really helped you transform as a business person or as just a human being. Let's start with Chris. What? Lay it on us. What's the gold? Give us the nugget.
6 years ago, I read a book called Blue Fishing by Steve Sims. And it basically talks about the whole listening concept and getting small gifts for people. And so I would recommend it. I think it's a great book. Now you know my secret.
There you go.
So,
That's great. And you've shared the secret.
I've
You've
shared
given
the
out
secret.
gift, Chris.
Yes, you're welcome.
All right. And Hondo.
There's a few books, but one of my favorites, The Peace Giver. And I learned a lot. That was an experience I had about 13 years ago. And I learned that forgiving is not about the other person, about you. It's about
The Peace Giver.
how you feel about life in general. So The Peace Giver, awesome book.
Okay, muchas gracias, Hondo. All right. All right. Hey, guys. Hey, thank you for tuning in. We've had an amazing time today. And thank you for giving us your time and your talents and gifts and your secrets, your gold nuggets.
And we'll we'll have their contact info at the bottom of the episode, and so you know how to get a hold of them. Until then, next time,
Invest in your future
and invest in yourself.
Okay, Flat Bill Investors signing out.